Hello, and welcome to a special bonus episode of the Tip of the Ice-Burgh podcast, brought to you as always by InsideThePenguins.com. I'm your host, Nick Berlansky, joined as always by Nick Horwat. And because we basically did this the last time, Adidas dropped 31 complete jerseys in a day. We figured, let's take some time, look at them. We gave it about 10 days. Now we're going to record this and then release it in another 2 weeks. We're going to go through the entire Reverse Retro 2.0, give you our best, our worst. We're going to talk Penguins Reverse Retro jerseys. We're going to talk a little bit about the Winter Classic stuff that we've seen so far. So it is a full jersey episode for a bonus content for Tip of the Ice-Burgh podcast, which means we're going to try to keep it as pleasing for audio listeners. But if you want the full experience, this is meant to be, at best, on video. So you can go over to Inside the Penguins on YouTube, check out our YouTube channel and this video. And if you subscribe before the 15th, which I guess is when this comes out, never mind. But if you subscribe today before tonight's game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, you'll be entered for a chance to win a signed Teddy Bluger jersey. But let's get into it, because Adidas a couple weeks ago on October 20th unveiled their second round of Reverse Retro jerseys. Teams started wearing them at the beginning of November. I believe the Canucks were the first team to bring out their Reverse Retro jersey on the 1st. And teams will only be wearing these jerseys, as with the first round, for 1 year. Now, that's something that you can say whether or not you love or hate, but it is what it is, and it's the NHL looking for more money and Adidas saying, hey, we can do this for you.
Yeah, the first round, it made sense to do. It was, hey, the league and teams are struggling with a pandemic, and a lot of them have lost money. And it was an easy way for them to capitalize on the nostalgia for their fans and sell a ton of jerseys. Clearly, I mean, they got me. I have two of them in the screen right now. So it was a good way for them to boost some income. But the only thing about it, because they only last for a year, a lot of them become forgettable. You know, if you don't own it or it's not your favorite team, I don't remember most of the reverse retros from the first crop. So we'll see how Discussing Most Improved goes. But I think overall, this batch of 32, I believe, was much better than the first batch of 31.
And we'll get into that, of course, but 32 jerseys unveiled in one day. We've looked at it extensively. If you're watching the video, we will have a lot of audio and a lot of visuals up for you. But let's start here. I mean, when you look at this list of jerseys right now, what to you is the worst reverse retro jersey in 2.0?
In 2.0, the worst. It's hard to, you get torn between Chicago and Detroit, don't you? Because they're pretty much the same. But at the end of the day, when it comes to just the absolute worst, I would probably have to plunk it to Chicago. Just because, I mean, Detroit's, at least I get, that was a jersey beforehand. Obviously, the reversed coloring on it. That's what they were going for. Chicago's, I just didn't really understand. I think they were trying to do something that, I forget the reasoning for it. I mean, the NHL.com has all of like the stories of it. But it was inspired, apparently, according to NHL.com, it was inspired by the 2019 crest of the Winter Classic. Speaking of inspired by the 2019, I forgot the Carolina Hurricanes one existed, which, by the way, at least the Hurricanes were being real about it. They were like, we didn't have anything. We just put out a red version of our away jersey, and we're going to have fun with it at least. So I think in hindsight, that one might be the worst, just because it's not really retro, and it was just kind of a recropping of their current jersey. But Chicago also just didn't look good. It just didn't look good either. That could be part of it. So I'm torn between those two for the worst.
No, the striping on a lot of these jerseys was questionable at best. I'll get into the Seattle jersey eventually. I feel like at some point, I understand it. This is Seattle's second season, but I thought they had a baked in opportunity to use that shoulder logo. That's an anchor and the needle at the same time, but maybe they're reserving that for a third jersey that they will wear more than 6 times in their entire existence. So I don't know. That's why I have it's either Chicago or Detroit. I think if I'm looking at them, Detroit's is better, just because Chicago's striping is weird. They have the black stripe across the chest with the word Chicago in the middle of it. And I get it. Their original 6 teams their main jerseys are historic, and you don't want to go away from it very, very much. But I thought that these were not good. I think it's pretty clear and abundant that those were the worst jerseys in the entire system there for the reverse retro.
It's hard whenever a team wears the same jersey so often, just over and over and over again. But I mean, Montreal figured it out. They've only worn really one sweater. They figured it out to have something new and entertaining, and I really like this one from Montreal. I'm not going to say Vegas figured it out, but they at least have something for you. They figured it out in the last round. Really, they said there's an older hockey team in this city that we're going to go to for the design. And you're right, Seattle just did not figure it out. They had a great opportunity to, use that secondary logo, or what I was even thinking of, take it all the way back. Take advantage of the fact that you had a NHL franchise before and get the Christmas colors out and wear the Seattle Metropolitan sleeves. Do something goofy.
I did see a report that that's what they're doing for their third jersey that's going to be unveiled later this season.
Well, then that's scary because that's a lot for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think there's a lot that you went into there. And let's get into the tiers right now. That's what we're going to do is we're going to put this in 6 different tiers. I'm pulling up your list to start. You have, obviously, you mentioned that your least favorite were Detroit and Chicago, but they're not in the kill it with fire category. You have the Carolina Hurricanes, which you mentioned, Vegas, the Canucks, and the Stars. What do you have against the Canucks? What is it, Johnny Canuck? I don't know what his name is, but what do you have against the Canucks jersey? I actually really liked it.
So my thing with the Canucks jersey, and I'm glad that you brought this up specifically, because I look at it and I think to myself, you ever have those things where you're like, I should like this. Like I should like it. I just look at it and think, I don't know what it is. There's just something about it that just doesn't please my eye. It doesn't make me feel something. Like same with the Dallas Stars one. There was so much more, not so much more you could have done, but I get what you're going for. It just missed. People might like the Dallas Stars one a lot too, but it just doesn't land for me. There's not too much else to it. It's a good idea and a good concept, and I'm sure the Vegas or the Vancouver one's going to grow on me. But for now, I just still look at it as, nah, it just didn't hit. I don't know what it is. I was also just wanting the big V. Just give me the big V one time.
Yeah, the Vancouver Canucks one I have much higher in my rankings. We'll talk about that in the second half of the show when we get to the positives, and that's the same thing with Vegas. I want to have a conversation about those two later. But I thought Dallas's was much better. I thought it was much improved last time. I thought it looked good, the white jerseys, but the problem was it was white with silver, and you couldn't see much. It just looked like a plain white jersey, especially when you watched it on TV. So I thought they did much better in this round, but theirs was similar to which one am I thinking? Columbus.
Yeah, it does look a lot like Columbus.
Which you have higher, which is, you went and you put the shoulders the whole way down through the sleeve, and then you just threw a logo there. I thought the Columbus logo looked out of place. You have it as a middle ground, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. I had the Columbus one actually as a missed opportunity as we switch over here. I didn't like Columbus's. I had the Stars in the middle ground. I had the Canucks as a very good, which we just talked about those. But with the Columbus Blue Jackets, I get they're not the oldest team, but I feel like that logo just looks out of place on a retro jersey.
Yeah, you're right. It's not the logo they should have gone with. Plenty of teams used old logos or different logos that they should have absolutely swapped in and out for. The only reason why I liked it so much, I think, is because it was something different. And I think it's definitely fallen on my list since the release as we record this much later. But just at my first visual glance, I went, oh, that's sweet. I think that may be why I bumped it up. Like I said, with the Vancouver one, I just looked at it and went, don't like it, down. So the more I look at Columbus, you're right. They should have gone with their old pointy logo. I can't even really remember, but it had a hockey stick in it. Everyone can remember it. And that is what makes this one sit out of place, though.
Yeah, and then when you look at the Dallas Stars one, like I said, I put it up higher. I'm a sucker for that old Dallas Stars logo instead of the and the Marty Turco, the Mike Modano, the Brendan Morrow,
Yeah.
Dallas Stars. I'm a sucker for that logo, and I thought that even though it wasn't executed to the best of their ability, one, it was vastly improved, and two, I thought it was, the logo was executed well, and I like the jersey, especially since it's a dark jersey. So I put it up a little bit higher on my list. One last thing I want to talk about before we get into the Pittsburgh Penguins is the Montreal Canadiens.
Mm-hmm.
You have it a lot. I have it in Kill It With Fire. I do. I don't like this. I thought it looked awful. I get it's a take on the Montreal Expos, maybe.
I think it's supposed to just be city colors. Like, it has nothing to do with the
colors.
Expos. It just so happens that when the Expos were created, they used that colorway because it was the city colors. The only thing I didn't like about it, before I can continue on, or you can continue on, is they say it's from the 1979 championship uniform. If you look at their jersey history, they wore that. The uniform specifically worn in 79, they wore for like 20 years before and 20 years after. You don't have to do that. Just say it's city colors or Expos related, and you're fine. You don't have to say it's because we won a cup this year. You flexing people. I don't know. They had to flex on us. That's all.
Well, they haven't won a cup since 1993, so they can keep flexing all they want. It's been 30 years. But no, looking at the jersey though, it's not that it's powdered blue. Because at first I thought that's why I didn't like it, but I think it's just because it doesn't look right. Like the powder blue with the dark blue, and then the red normal logo in the middle. It just doesn't. It looks like a 10-year-old kind of just got Adobe Paint for the first time, or Google Paint or whatever, and was like throwing random colors at the board to see what sticks. And again, it's the same thing that we talked about with Chicago. It's the same thing we talked about with Detroit. You're an original six team. For the most part, you've had pretty much one jersey for your entire existence, which is basically 100 years. And you have to try to think of something new. And listen, last time they did it, it was the dark blue, basically the same concept, but the dark blue, and everybody loved it. And what else could you do? Like, you inverted the colors, you went true to form with the reverse retro theme, and everybody loved it. And now you're like, okay, well, we only have 2 colors or 3 colors. And they weren't going to make a white one because that wouldn't have made really much of a difference. But I don't know. For some reason, I didn't like this. You had it very good, though.
I did. I enjoyed it quite a lot. I'm trying to find, now that we're talking about it, the Quebec Nordiques. I mean, you could even argue, it's a little brighter than that, I guess. I was going to say, you could argue that they used the blue from the Quebec Nordiques, but no, that blue was a little darker. So I do just feel like it was city coloring. And if you want to say there was an Expos tie-in, go by all means, because that just sounds cooler to me. And I think much like these baseball teams that are trying to do the same thing, they're trying to bring back all of their powdered blue jerseys. Some of them are just not landing, but some of them are. And I just feel like this one did. I don't hate the blue. Hell, I don't hate the Penguins blue jerseys that are real and actual old jerseys, not creations for something special that end up cursing everything. No, the actual powder blue I like, and for this specific Canadiens jersey I do enjoy. I am curious to see what they wear padding wise though. I'm hoping it's like a dark blue from there.
Dark blue like pants? Is that
what
you're
pads
about?
and gloves. Yeah. Okay. Pants and gloves, yeah.
Well, if they're doing that, you might as well just do the powder blue gloves.
And
the powder blue helmets. Just full send. If you're gonna do it full send.
Yeah, but I don't like whenever everything head to toe is the same color. That's just
their skates will be blue, or sorry, black.
No, they're going white. All seals. Sorry, sharks.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I'm glad you brought up the fact that baseball teams are going back to the powder blue, just kind of a retro look. NHL teams are also going back to a more retro look, it seems, as we've seen more often. A lot of those tan color jerseys, a lot of those tan color pants, when it was off-white, when it wasn't exactly like the bright white that you see today from most of the NHL's road jerseys. We'll talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins Winter Classic, because that might be something that we see come January 2nd, which will actually get released here in about 10 days on November 25th. But before we get into that, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins Reverse Retro. And again, if you're watching on video, we're going to pull it up for you. But when the Penguins finally went back to the RoboPen, is this what you envisioned them doing?
Kinda, yeah. And I enjoy it. I will say it's not God's gift to Earth. Like I feel like a lot of Penguins fans are saying, it's a good jersey, it's a good uniform, and I don't absolutely hate it, which is just a step in the right direction. And I think it looks a lot better than the last one. The last one that we had was the white Pittsburgh word mark, and we all loved it at first. And I don't know why. I grew to not like it that much.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I just grew to not find it as appealing. This, on the other hand, it looks great. I don't know if I will maintain that sentiment, like unlike the last one, or if it will grow sour on me. But for now, I thoroughly enjoy it. Like I said, it's not the best, but it's a perfect, great jersey for this crop, and I think the logo does make a lot of the difference.
Yeah, the logo is a big difference. A lot of Penguins fans love the logo. Some Penguins fans who are a little bit older remember that the logo was cursed and why the logo was brought to Pittsburgh to begin with. It was a money grab by, I believe it was Baldwin.
Probably.
Baldwin Jr. I thought it was Howard Baldwin Jr., but I might be wrong on the name for some reason. It's escaping me, but it's again true to form, like the Pittsburgh Penguins did in 2020. It is their white 1990s, mid 90s RoboPen jersey inverted. That's all it is. And honestly, I thought that it was pretty good. I know a lot of people wanted the gradient, but I could have told you that they probably weren't going to do the gradient. And Rob Rossi said it 6 months ago that they're probably not going to do the gradient, guys. Like, don't get your hopes up for it. They're not going to do it. But the RoboPen logo does make all the difference. And a lot of people also said that it's too plain, but I think that it's perfectly fine. You don't need to be too busy. And there's some of these jerseys in this crop that they just have unnecessary things. And one of your favorites is the Calgary one. We'll get to that in the second segment. I thought that there's just one piece of unnecessary addition to the Calgary jersey that makes me think it's not good. But when you look at this jersey, Horwat, obviously you think of the Jaromir Jagr, Mario Lemieux, 1993 Pittsburgh Penguins, 1995 Pittsburgh Penguins. It brings back a sense of just nostalgia for this city that nobody ever actually really expected. There was a long time, and honestly, probably would have never happened if Mario Lemieux still owned the team.
Right.
Because he has strong feelings against this logo. So the Pittsburgh Penguins do go back to the RoboPen. I thought when I first saw it, I said, okay, that's a little weird, but the more I'm looking at it, the more I think it's going to look really good once the Penguins wear it for a game. And it's going to look good on TV. It's going to look good in person on the ice. It's going to look good in photographs. I think it's going to be a really good jersey to watch the Penguins play in. The one thing that will be a little bit weird that you don't see in the picture that we have on the video here is the Highmark logo just looks a little out of place on this one. I haven't been worried about it on the normal jerseys. I haven't been worried about it on the Pittsburgh diagonals, which we saw against the Boston Bruins and the LA Kings, but it looks a little bit weird at the beak of this Pittsburgh Penguins RoboPen.
It does, but so be it. And I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit here and say the day we're recording this, and as a matter of fact, tweeted 12 minutes ago, the Penguins are going to wear it tonight
against the Buffalo Sabres.
Was that in the schedule? I don't remember that.
It was not in the schedule. And you know what happened when I was setting up for this and doing my notes and making sure the rundown was good for this? I saw that they changed their profile picture, and I thought maybe they're doing it. And I literally went back and checked my own story because I was like, no, they start on the 15th against Toronto. But I'm sure what happened is Buffalo is wearing their white ones, and the Penguins needed a dark jersey, and they just figured, why not? So
it
the
looks
Penguins,
cool.
Yeah. So the Penguins technically unveiled this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, love it.
From when you're listening.
Love it. So such is life in the media industry, but also they're playing the Buffalo Sabres, who I have the jersey behind me, their first ones. I'm glad that they're going with the actual buffalo head rather than the swords again. I wasn't a fan of the swords, but I do think, and also one thing about the Buffalo jersey too is people may not like it because it's not red and black. They're bringing the red and black back anyway already, so there's not much they could do other than go with the blue and yellow with that buffalo head. So I like it. I do wish it was red and black, but they're doing that already anyway.
Yeah, they're bringing that jersey back, which is much awaited as well. I mean, I loved it when they unveiled that, and I still love it. And honestly, I tried to not buy jerseys, but that one might make the rotation. But nonetheless, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Penguins Winter Classic and what we've heard and what we've seen about that. We're going to give our top tiers, our favorites from 2.0, and we're going to make sure that we talk about most improved, because some of these went much better than the first time around. We'll be right back right after this break. Welcome back to this bonus episode of the Tip of the Ice-Burgh podcast. We're talking about the Adidas Reverse Retro Jerseys 2.0. Of course, the Pittsburgh Penguins bring back the RoboPen. We just finished a discussion on that. But we're also going to talk about some of the other ones around the league. We've discussed the horrendous efforts in Chicago, Detroit, in my opinion, in Montreal, but you don't necessarily agree. Horwat doesn't like the Canucks. I think it is much better. I really like it.
You never know.
I know a lot of people didn't like the numbering on that one, but we don't need to get into it. The numbering was a little bit weird, how big it is on the front. It's awkward, but I thought it looked good. But let's talk a little bit before we get into the best of the best from Reverse Retro 2.0. Let's talk a little bit about the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Winter Classic, which is coming up on January 2nd of 2023. They'll take on the Boston Bruins at Fenway Park. So a big day for the Penguins ownership group and Fenway Sports Group. But the logos were released on November 1st before Pens Bruins, a game in which, listen, we've talked about it on the podcast. You know how we feel about that game. But the Penguins are actually going with the Pittsburgh Pirates theme from the 1920s. Initially, the 1925 season, and not many people may know this, but the Pittsburgh Pirates were Pittsburgh's original NHL franchise, and they'll be going back to, at the very least, the P logo that they used on that. And whenever they unveiled that on November 1st, I looked at it and I said, that would be a great logo for a hat. Like, just to have that plain and simple on a hat. Now it's kind of like the Pittsburgh Pirates of now, but there's a reason that is like a historic, that is a legendary hat. You find it everywhere, even though the Pittsburgh Pirates have sucked for 3 decades now. You find it everywhere because it's a nice hat. It looks good. It's aesthetically pleasing. So same thing goes for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And you know what? The jerseys will be released 10 days from when you're listening to this on November 25th. But I'm just going to sit back. I'm going to let you take your victory lap, because you called this about 2 weeks. Not even more, like a month or two ago. You called this on the podcast. So I'll let you take a quick victory lap on it.
It was a long time ago I called it. I don't know what made me say it. I think because we've played in a lot of outdoor games, for better or worse. The Penguins have played in a ton of outdoor games, and it seemed like they were just running out of options. Did you want to go blue again? Did you want to do a different sort of old school black and gold? We were just kind of out of options. Like I said before, we had to create a jersey pretty much for our second Winter Classic of all things. We had to create one. That emblem never actually existed, and especially not on that uniform. I saw rumors in the pretty recent history of it possibly being the blue word mark, kind of like that one they put out for fans last season. But I've just figured everything's sort of lined up. You're in this Winter Classic. Let's take it all the way back for both of these franchises. The Bruins have been around since also the 20s. Why not have them wear something really stupid old, like talking 1924-25 when they were still brown and not black? And because it's at Fenway, it just makes perfect sense that the Pittsburgh organization should wear their Pirates uniforms. And even more fun, the NHL Pirates wore black and gold before the baseball Pirates.
Yeah.
They were still red and blue back in that day. So I just think it all made a ton of sense to bring the Pirates to Fenway, to throw it just all the way back to this team and give this team a little more notoriety, because they were bad. I mean, in their 4 or 5 seasons in Pittsburgh, they weren't that great of a team. 2 playoff appearances. And I believe they had a Hall of Famer or 2. I just can't remember which ones. But it's always good to know your town's hockey history. And hey, this city had an NHL team long before 1967.
Yeah, definitely. And here's the thing. This is an opportunity for the Pittsburgh Pirates to have a major win on a national stage for the first time since 2013.
Yikes.
Yeah. And it would be their second big win on the national stage since 1990 or something like that. I don't know. The Pittsburgh Pirates have been bad my entire life. It's kind of hard. But nonetheless, no, I think this is going to look good. I'm very excited to see what the full jersey looks like. It, like we mentioned in the first segment, if it's a throwback to that off-white kind of cream colored, brownish colored jerseys, I'll like it. I know I initially have been kind of putting my foot down and saying, listen, this is the opportunity for you to have a really cool black and gold versus black and gold matchup. But if they do something like this, I think it'll also hit home really well, especially with the aesthetic of Fenway Park. And what we can only hope is similar to weather to what we saw in the original Winter Classic back in 2008 against the Buffalo Sabres. I think that would be perfect if it's just a light snowfall the entire game, not sunny, but it's overcast to make sure the ice is still nice. I think that would be really aesthetically pleasing, and I think that would be so much fun to watch.
Give me the giant crest on the sleeve, too. Give me the giant Pittsburgh crest on the sleeve. I know you couldn't really see it in that picture, but I have it up on NHL Uniform Database because that site's awesome. Just a giant Pittsburgh crest on the sleeve is so cool. I think there's a lot of opportunities they could do with this. If they really wanted to and they wanted to mishmash it up, use that P and then utilize the word marking again. Throw Pittsburgh down the chest if you have to. It's a lot you could do. I don't know. I'm sure they're just going to try and go with this old school 25 through 28 Pirates jersey, but it's a lot you could do if you really wanted to.
Yeah, it'll be interesting in 10 days to see what direction they go, what they do for the sides, if they throw in any of the new age logos on the sides, and what they do, like you said, with the rest of the kit, because it's not just the jersey. You have to commit with the helmets. You have to commit with the gloves. If they go with the old school brown gloves and the pants and the socks and everything in that manner. So I'm excited. I know that the Pittsburgh Penguins have had a lot of outdoor games, the most recent being a home and home with the Philadelphia Flyers in the Stadium Series, but I'm excited for another Penguins Winter Classic. You know, they haven't been in the Winter Classic itself since 2011, and we all know how that turned out. So I'm very, very intrigued to see it. Plus, I love Fenway Park. Like, I've never been there. I would love to go someday to see anything, literally concert, baseball game, maybe a hockey game, probably not. But nonetheless, no, it's going to be very, very fun and very, very intriguing to say the least. But Hora, let's get back to the Adidas Reverse Retros as we are running out of time here on our bonus episode. Thank you to everybody that tuned in. We hope you like this content. We're just going to try to bring some more bonus content. Obviously, we have the Penguins lunches every other Wednesday. We're going to do stuff like this. And if we lose a certain bet, we might be bringing you bonus content because we lost a bet, but nonetheless, we do love bringing the content. We do love talking hockey, which makes this not really even a job. It is a job, but it feels like it's not. But let's talk about our top tiers, our middle ground, very good, and take my money. We're going to start with the middle ground. Some of these, I know the way I looked at it was middle ground was I liked it, but it could have been better.
Yes.
Like the missed opportunity was I didn't like it, and it could have been way better, but like the middle ground is this could have been executed better. You have the California Seals. I thought that would have been a shoe-in for you. Anything California Golden Seals, because that's one of the first things I knew about you is you had a beanie that had the California Golden Seals on it. But what did you think about the Sharks going back to the Seals, and why do you have it in your middle ground?
So I like it's appropriate that they go back to it. I don't know if everyone over there has been asking for it. I don't know who's been asking for it specifically, but it's just a cool sweater. It's not much to it. It's just a cool little thing that that they utilize and they finally took advantage of and did something with that harkens to a different time. A lot of these jerseys are going to get flagged for going back to times of bad hockey. Who cares? That's not what we're here to discuss.
The Sharks are bad too, so it fits.
Yeah, so enjoy what you have. I think it would have been funnier if they'd gone with that full dumb-looking Seals logo. But I do like this. It's simple enough. People are going to buy it. I also really enjoy that it says Sharks instead of Seals. Just good fun. I just enjoyed it. I don't know if it's moved up or down since I made this tier list, but it's just a good sweater, you know?
Yeah, no, I understand that. And then really quickly, for me, you have three in the Take My Money. It is the Calgary Flames, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Colorado Avalanche. Just really quickly on each of them, why do you like all three of them so much?
I'll start with the less controversial one, and that is the Tampa Bay Lightning, because I just thought it was so goofy. There's so much going on. The numbering is awesome. That's all there is to it. It's so goofy with so much going on that it's one of those jerseys that you think to yourself, well, they're not going to wear much. Screw it. Go all out.
Mm-hmm.
And they did. It was an old, it was, I like it more than the old one of it too. I like that it's white rather than the black. As for the Colorado Avalanche, I don't know why I liked that one so much. I just looked at it and went, that's cool. That's so new. It is so different that it's not even a reverse retro, really. It is kind of just a new jersey with their old piping and styling. I just thought that was a bold strategy, Cotton, and it paid off, in my opinion. They did kind of just Grand Theft Auto, the New Jersey Devils color design. I forget, depending on who. I mean, those two can fight it out all they want, but screw it. I thought it was interesting on both of their parts. And people don't like the Calgary Flames one. I love that jersey, first of all. The white one, the old one, love it. I don't know why I like that little pedestal, but it's always just kind of made me happy and made me enjoy the jersey. And I think it looks even better in black. Again, like I said, I'm wearing the Blasty one from last time, which was so popular they brought it back for their third jersey with awesome like black flames on the sleeve. Calgary Flames just I can't think of too many bad jerseys that team has had. They continue to always swing for the fences and succeed. And I think this was just another one.
Their current home and away kits are very nice. Like I really, it's one of the best in the league. And it was a really good redesign by them to go back to that. The pedestal is my problem. Or what? I don't understand it. It looks like, problem. Again, it looks like somebody went into Photoshop and accidentally like sneezed when they were trying to fix something and then just said, screw it. We're on a deadline. Just hit export and print. And there we go. That's what we have. I don't know. It just looks weird to me. I like the Colorado one. That's the one of your three in the top. That's the one I like the most. It just feels a little too plain. And again, I said that sometimes you don't need to do too much. But for that, it felt, I don't know. It felt a little off to me, and that's why I didn't have it in my top tiers, but it's in my middle ground tier, I believe. I just thought it could be better. I like the logo. That's the Colorado State logo. I have a shirt with it on it for Red Rocks, but no, cool other than that, Tampa Bay's is interesting. I will say that. It is certainly interesting.
I will say also, if anything, I would also like to bump up the Florida Panthers jersey, which you have up top. Thank you. We could talk about that because that is also, the more I look at it, the more I enjoy it. It's a home run. It's a grand slam of a sweater. The powder blue works. The red, it looks like a sunrise. And the bottom, it's so cool.
Yeah, whenever I looked at it initially, I said, okay, that's a decent jersey. And I kept looking at it. I was like, I really like the logo. I really like the chest, the crest. And I was like, man. And then I also got a little peer pressured from our good friend, State of Hoppy. He said, that is a home run jersey. And the more I looked at it, I was like, he's right. Because there's what do I not like about it? The only thing that I didn't like about it is that I hated the Canadians powder blue so much that I took it out on this jersey. That's what I think happened. So yes, I have the Florida Panthers powder blue in the Take My Money. And listen, their first reverse retro was pretty good as well. It was the leaping panther with the claws out. I really liked that jersey.
They're 2 for 2.
They're 2 for 2 right now. And the other ones in the Take My Money, I do have the Penguins. I do have the Seals, which we've talked about. I have the Washington Capitals, although I probably wouldn't buy it. I wouldn't buy a lot of these jerseys. I don't really buy jerseys much. But I like the Washington Capitals going back to their Alex Ovechkin roots, basically. I know that they had this color scheme before Ovechkin, but this is what you remember early days of Ovechkin in. And I really like it. Honestly, I think it's one of the best reverse retro jerseys out there. I like the Oilers. The last time, all they did was really just change the striping, use the same logo, and change the coloring in a couple hues. Thankfully, they didn't do that this time. They have the 2001 throwback logo that was actually designed by a cartoon artist named Todd McFarlane. So I like the backstory around it, and I really think it's going to look good. I'm excited to watch, Connor McDavid wear this, and I'm excited to watch Leon Draisaitl and what he looks like wearing this jersey. I just think that was a home run as well. But the one I do really want to talk about before we get into most improved and the last couple of questions here. You really didn't like the Vegas Golden Knights jersey?
No. Nope. I don't know if it's just my disdain for the franchise echoing out a little further into this New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And I genuinely am not sure exactly what it is I don't like about it, aside from that number looks terrible. Oh, I just pulled it up on the database, and that numbering looks awful. That looks like Cartoon Network numbering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. I get that they don't have much to pull from,
Mm-hmm.
and I get that you tried your best to design something that looked retro-y but also new. And I just think it fell flat. I think it looked really ugly in the first renderings we saw, and then it came out and it still looked ugly. And I'm gonna say it: glow in the dark equipment and padding and jerseys, dumb, dumb. I get the aesthetic, and I get that works for Vegas, but you're gonna see it for 2 minutes pregame because you don't play games in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
I had the same opinions when Ben Bishop had a glow in the dark helmet. I said that's really dumb because you're not gonna ever notice it because a majority of the game is in the light when it's not glowing. It'll be cool for people to own to go to parties in. Way to go. But it says Vegas. That only works in Vegas. So that's just my opinion on it. I don't like it at all.
Why do you hate fun?
Because this is just, I like fun. I mean, you saw my opinions on the Tampa Bay Lightning literal thunderstorm jersey. This is just not landing to me.
Okay, well, my fiance said something to me earlier today because I had her look at my list to see what she thought, because she does graphic design on the side. So she didn't like the Vegas jersey, and I said, "What if I told you it glowed in the dark?" She said, "Well, I mean, I don't care about glow in the dark." But she's like, but it makes sense because it's Vegas.
Yes.
And Vegas is all about the spectacle. And she's right. Look at their game intros. Like, who takes the intro to the game more seriously than the Vegas Golden Knights? Nobody. So why not throw this little thing in here for 6 games? It's probably like 6, 7, 8 games at most that you're going to do it. It's a shtick. Horwat, so I don't mind it, and I like it, honestly, even without the glow in the dark. The numbering is a little off-putting, but I think it looks good. I think it's a better attempt than what they did for the first one, and we understand these are expansion teams. That's why Seattle, listen, I said kill it with fire, but again, what did they have to do? They're using the Metropolitans for another one, and they're probably going to want to bring back that secondary logo that they have on their shoulders as a third jersey in the future. They don't want to burn it out in the second year of their existence. So I get it. But Vegas is, I genuinely like this and think it'll look good on the ice.
It might. I just think it looks so cartoony. Like I'm looking, like I keep going back to that number, and they look like a cartoon hockey or a hockey team in a cartoon. Just that weird, goofy number. It looks goofy, and like Kayla said, that I don't care for glow in the dark, but I do get it because it's Vegas. That makes a ton of sense. But it's a swing and a miss. That's just me.
Okay, that's fair enough. But let's finish this off. 3 quick questions. Most improved. Which round was better, 2020 or 2022? And then the best reverse retro of this batch. Let's start with most improved jersey, Horwat. And I know that not everybody remembers them. So here's all the reverse retro 1.0s. We're missing the bottom row there. Actually, I'll just take this away. Yeah, there's the bottom row. What is the most improved jersey of reverse retro 2.0?
Man, it's hard to say. A couple of quick comments I just want to before I pick one, really.
Okay.
The Minnesota Wild failures this time around. You just did the literal opposite of what you're doing, of what you did in the first round. Unless you're trying to make that like the official jersey going forward, I hate it. Do something else. Detroit, I'm glad they at least did something this time. The Islanders, I'm glad they just did something this time. But I think at the end of the day, this might come off as a little sour, considering what they just did to us. I thoroughly enjoy the new Boston Bruins Reverse Retro, especially compared to what they did last time. So that is probably going to be my most improved. I think the Reverse Retro with the white on the Pooh Bear looks so much better than the yellow version of it. That's a absolute home run. It's not my favorite, but it's just so much better than what they did last time.
Okay. I agree that the Boston Bruins was improved. You mentioned The New York Islanders,
Mm-hmm.
they tried. Good on you, Lou Lamoriello.
They did.
You actually tried this time. Not that I don't know if he even has a hand in that process. Probably not. But they actually tried this time. They brought back the Fisherman instead of just changing their regular jersey a couple shades darker. So I'm going to give them the most improved because they really didn't do anything in the first place. And any effort is a massive improvement on what they did last time. And it's funny, too, because we didn't talk about it. We probably won't talk about it very much. The New York Rangers literally did the same jersey, but they just brightened it up a little bit.
I really hate that.
Gave it the New York blue.
Hate it. I hate their new ones. I like the old ones better.
Okay, fair enough. The other one I already mentioned was the Edmonton Oilers. I like their throwbacks a lot more this time around.
Yeah.
But that reminds me then we need to get into which round is better. Was it better in 2020 for Reverse Retro 1.0, or was it better in 2022 for this recent batch?
Definitely this recent batch is better. I think hands down. There are some clunkers in this new one. Don't get me wrong. Like the Jets kind of went 0 for 2. I'm not a fan. I don't know why. I'm not a fan of the Arizona ones. Just I don't like it. Do something else. I mean, again, not much you can do, but could have done something. And the Kings, I feel like, was another huge missed opportunity. But overall, I thoroughly enjoy this crop much better than the last one. And somehow I didn't even discuss the Ottawa Senators one, which at first I really enjoyed, but has fallen off the map for me.
The new one or the old one?
The new one. I liked that swoop they were trying to do, but it just fell flat.
Yeah, I get the concept, but at the same time, I was like,
there was another much better jersey they could have gone with.
That is true. I would agree that the second iteration overall was better. But I will say, as we flip back to the 2020 iteration and what that looked like, I think the 2021 had the best jerseys. The Colorado Nordiques throwback is gorgeous. And the Blasty that you're wearing is amazing. I think those are my two favorite ones out of the entire Reverse Retro process. I think those two are the best overall. But whenever I look at just holistically 32 in 2022 versus the 31 in 2020, I got to say a lot of teams excelled this time around, not as much the last time around. And the Blues I want to throw in there. I really like the Blues and what they did.
I love their concept too. I love that it was a prototype. I think that's even cooler. Make people learn the history of things. That's kind of why I'm such a big fan of the Penguins playing in pirate uniforms. Make people learn the history of what they're wearing and what's going on. I think that's so cool. Another point to notice in the Flyers, remember how every time I said the last one, that black looks brown?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the black still looks brown, and I think it's an improvement on this new jersey, but big bonus points for wearing Cooperalls in warmups. Giant bonus points for the Cooperalls. You did something right this year, except for the fact you're killing us in the standings.
Yeah, that'll regress. Nonetheless, it might regress by the time this comes out in 2 weeks. No, I agree. I think that the Flyers took a jump up. I thought the Devils were. I
like the Devils one. That's me.
The coloring's okay. Again, same thing. They're not an original 16, but they're a team that has had the same jerseys forever. I mean, they were killed for the jersey, which I actually liked. So you know what?
On me.
I stand with Martin Brodeur. I definitely do. But let's finish this off, Horwat, because we expected this to go 30 minutes. Obviously, it's impossible for us to stick on a time schedule. The best Reverse Retro for 2022 is. Go ahead.
I'm gonna hold by the Tampa Bay Lightning. I just think it's so gosh darn goofy that I can't stop looking at it. It's just so stupidly awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know what it is about that one. It just didn't hit home with me. And
a very close second's Florida. I just squeezed that in. So way to go, the state of Florida on these jerseys.
I mean, they don't have any state income tax, so they can hire as many graphic designers as they want. No, to me, and you're going to hate this. First and foremost, I do think the Penguins is the best one. But if that's too much of a homer pick for the listeners out there, I will give you another one. And Horwat, you will hate this. The Vegas Golden Knights is the best Reverse Retro jersey, in my opinion.
You're allowed to have that opinion. I just don't think it's correct. But I can absolutely see why people like it, though. I will say that.
I think if we had to do a top consensus, For both of us, it's Florida.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Florida Panthers. So the big winner is the Florida Panthers. Great job. I probably wouldn't get that, but I would love to have that logo on a hat.
Mm-hmm.
Not
Yep.
a powder blue hat, but I'd love to have that logo on a hat.
It looks awesome. A powder blue hat could be fun, actually.
Depending. I don't know. We'll see. But that's going to do it for this bonus episode. Horat, any last thoughts on any of these Reverse Retro 2.0s?
Did we talk about all of them? Just about. I can't think of. Oh, yeah. Someone called the Anaheim Ducks the Eden Hall Ducks from D3, and I about lost my mind and can't stop thinking of it. So that's a swing and that's an absolute home run. Other than that, everyone did pretty good. I got no other comments. This was a fun little task. Let's do this again in 2 years.
I don't know, because Adidas is also out of contract and not re-upping with the NHL. So this might be the last iteration of the Reverse Retros, but the only one we actually didn't mention, as I'm looking around this, is the Toronto Maple Leafs. F. That's what I'm going to say. You failed. It's not good.
It is an improvement on their last ones, which was gray. And where did that come from? It's an improvement, but yeah, not great. I don't think it's terrible, but it's not great.
Well, that's going to do it for this bonus episode of the Tip of the Ice-Burgh podcast. We hope you enjoy this. If you want more bonus content like this, let us know over on social media at Ice-Burgh Podcast on Twitter and Tip of the Ice-Burgh Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. But like we said, that's going to do it for this one. We will be back with a regularly scheduled Tip of the Ice-Burgh this Thursday. And if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow is also a Penguins lunch. So we'll have 4 episodes for your listening pleasure this week, or your viewing pleasure if you're on YouTube. But that's going to do it for this one. We'll see you guys next time.